Yes, I think we're live.
We are live. Cool. Excited to be here doing another one of these sessions. We're going to give people a couple minutes to filter in, and then we will get started.
Yeah, sounds good.
Pratham, where are you today?
I'm based in Delhi. I'm just kind of preparing my bag because I need to travel to New York for API Days conference in next 2 days. So everything is big hectic at my end right now. But I
Okay,
but I
cool.
found some time to do this live stream, so I'm glad.
Nice. What time is it for you?
It's 9:30 p.m. A bit
Okay.
late, but I think I generally active in US time zone because I have been working with a couple of clients based in US. So that's
Cool.
perfectly fine with me. Yeah.
Okay. I have a dog here. I'm not actually at my own. Okay, stop. I'm not actually at my own place right now because we had a
Mm-hmm.
snowstorm and the power is out. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this from my friend's place, and I have my friend's dog here joining me today, which is pretty cool.
But I can see in the background you are at some nice place. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's
beautiful
great.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, we will wait one more minute, and
Sure. I
then
think
we
yeah, we
will
have
hop
good
in.
viewers. I think 84
Okay.
already joined us. Yeah, maybe we can start in a couple of minutes.
Yep, almost ready. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, let me just make sure I got everything set up. I see people in the comments.
Yeah,
We got good audio, video quality. I think it's
great.
time to
That's
go,
great.
and people who are coming can catch up. So I'm going to go ahead
Yes.
and kick us off here. So I'm Zach. I'm the founder and CEO of Warp. I'm joined here today by Pratham, which is awesome. This is, I believe, the fourth one of these Code with Zach sessions that I've
Yeah.
done. And the idea, if people are just joining for the first time, is that I will try to live build something, honestly, without like manually writing code. And
Mm-hmm.
this is an attempt to show what I think what the future of coding looks like. I think we're moving into a world where more and more developers are not going to be writing code by hand very much. They're going to be sort of prompting their computer and asking it to do things for them, and then reviewing the work, collaborating with the computer, the agent, whatever you want to call it. Maybe they're doing multiple of these things in parallel. And the job of the engineer is going to be more like, can you manage or supervise or be like, a sort of tech lead to a bunch of AIs that are helping you write your code. I think this is
Yes.
happening faster than people realize, and it's already possible today on a lot of like simple tasks. Doesn't work 100% of the time, and you still, I would say, really need to know what you're doing as an engineer. But if you use these AI tools correctly, you can get a lot more done. I'm going to focus on doing this using Warp, but this same type of thing is possible in other AI tools as well, and I may actually go into some of them depending on how I do in Warp. So that's a high level. Pratham, do you want to introduce yourself, and then I'll talk about the task that we're doing?
Yes. Yes. Why not? So I'm glad to be joined by you, Zach, today. I'm working as a developer relations at API layer, and behind this live stream, I think we had a really interesting story. So a couple of days back, I was kind of vibe coding in Warp, and I had a couple of loopholes. So I reached out to one
Yeah.
of your team members, and that's how we set up this live story so that I can also learn along the way. So it's really interesting opportunity for me as well to
Cool.
see how these things go. But yeah, super
Cool.
excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. This dog is literally on the dining room table, so this is going to be it's going to be a new level of coding difficulty for me. This is cracking me up. Anyhow, what are we doing today? So today I am going to build something that our growth team has asked for, and this is the thing that we really actually want, which is the ability to sort of see when Warp or any Twitter handle gets mentioned on social, and have a sort of feed of our social mentions go into our into our Slack channel. And so I'm going to do this using the Twitter, the X API. I'm going to use it, do it using Slack webhooks. I'm going to also maybe build a little front end that lets me see what's going on. I'm going to try and make it so there's persistence, so we don't send the same messages over and over again. And so that's the goal. We'll just see how far we get. For anyone who's come to the past couple of these, you know that I don't always actually get this done, and that's fine. It's like it's real, seat of the pants development. I will try not to leak any API keys today, but I no promises. I've done that the last couple of times. All right, so I am going to go ahead and go into my screen. Although if you don't mind sharing or adding my screen to the stage, we will get going.
Yes, I will do that. Here we go.
Okay, can you just confirm everyone can see my warp okay here? Pratham, does this look good?
Yeah, looks good to me, but I'm just waiting for a couple of comments to come in.
Okay, cool. So
Yep.
just for those folks who are joining who aren't familiar with Warp, just as a starting point here. So Warp is it's an intelligent command line. You can sort of run commands in it, but the thing that makes it unique is that you can also just ask it to do things in plain English, and it will do them for you. And so I'm going to be using that functionality today much more than I'm going to be using the terminal functionality, but I'll switch back and forth between them both pretty seamlessly. Okay, so let me go ahead and get started here. So to sort of speed things up, I created. Hold on, let me see if my friend can maybe move the dog out of here. 1 second. I created some prompts that that let me speed this whole thing up. So here's the first prompt that I'm going to do. So I'm going to say I want to create a Python app that pulls the Twitter API looking for references to a given set of handles. When a post, I should fix this. When a post references a handle, it should print the post to the server console, and I will have the API keys pre-exported to the environment. The handles should come from command line flags, and it can look up the name of the API keys that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Yeah. I'm going to do it in a new directory. Hey, stop this. Stop this. This is stressing me out. I'm going to do a new directory called code with Zach social live stream. Okay. So let me go ahead and start this. I'm going to skip the planning step. The planning step I could use here, but I don't think I need it just to get going here. So what's happening here is that it's reading this env template. It's going to make this directory for me, and it's going to initialize a Git repo. Let me just... and then it's figuring out the basics here. It's going to make a README, a git ignore, the Tweepy library. So this is already just a huge accelerator in terms of, I think that the dog just knocked the mug off the table. This is real comedy. I'm asking my friend to come up. Hey, Tiger, can I get a little help here?
Get off. What are you doing?
Okay. So just to look at this. So this is all looking right. Just want to sort of go through here and expand what it's doing. So it's going to pull all these API keys from the environment, which is right. If there's anything missing, it's going to let me know. It's going to create the client for fetching this stuff and set up the stream. Let's see what else it's going to do. It's going to pull the handle, and this looks pretty reasonable to me as a starting point. Let's look at what else it's generating. So it's just bringing in one requirement here, a git ignore, and a README describing what it's doing, which is a great starting point. So here we go.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Notice that as it hits errors, it also self-corrects, which is pretty cool. All right, let's just take a look at where we're at here. It did actually make the commit. Okay, cool. And let's look at all the files. We have a main, a README, and requirements, which is what I want. So next thing I'm going to do here is I told it that the environment variables would be in the session. So I want to make sure that's true. So I, earlier on, created this environment variables object in Warp, which is basically fetching environment variables from G-Cloud. And the idea here is I'm really trying hard this time to not accidentally leak any API keys. So this is going to set them into the environment. So let's go ahead now, and we should be all set up. I'm going to ask it to continue this conversation. I'll be like, can you run the Python app? And we'll do it with Zach Lloyd tweets as the handle. So this is my main Twitter handle.
Okay.
Oh, it's putting them back in. That's fine. No problem there. Okay, cool. It's actually redacting the secrets, which is nice. All right, so it's going to run our program. Let's see what happens here. We have an error. Okay, so the error, just so we can always look at it, which I think is very useful. You want to understand what you're doing as you do this type of thing. The error says we forgot to pip install, so let's go ahead and do that. And let's try and run again. So we might have the wrong credentials. Is that true? That does seem true. We got a 403.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is where the programming actually starts. So let's see if we need to use the old authentication method. So Pratham, have you done coding with many different AI coding tools?
Yes. Like I have been trying out, and now like everyone in the community talking about it. So, and that's why I was like, in a couple of days back, I was trying Warp, and I had a couple of questions, so I reached out. So yes, I'm kind of very active to try out these new AI tools.
Okay, cool. I'm worried that I tested this earlier, and I believe that we should actually have the right access. So I'm
Did you
confused
reset your key by any chance, maybe?
Yeah,
After
let
you
me
tried out the demo. Yeah, maybe.
not. I don't think that this is what's going on, but let's try it for a second. And if I need to, I'll undo it. No, same problem. This is a different problem. So hold on. Let's revert this because I think. Let's go ahead and undo that change. I want to verify that the right environment variables are set here. That's hard to do on a live stream, unfortunately. Try to figure out how to do this in a way where I don't once again leak our environment variables. Let's see. Let's like see what's in our env here. This is probably not going to do what I want. Let me, actually, would you mind unsharing my screen, removing it from the stage for a second so I could just look at something?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I just removed it from the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do this. Okay. I'm just checking these.
See a comment, Pratham, do you have a favorite AI tool you have used so far? No preferences, to be honest, in general. But yeah, like I think I'm too habitual. I always go to Chat GPT because that's the first one came out. So I think I'm just too used to it to ask anything on Chat GPT. To be honest,
Sorry, I'm still working on this here, just trying to see
sure,
what's
no
set.
problem. Most of the time, my demos also fail. So I think that's okay.
It does look like everything is actually in here. Let me see. Maybe it's reading
Scott
it.
said it doesn't work unless you leak an API key.
I can't do it without. Okay, so everything is indeed set. Maybe it's not looking at the right things here. So I think we can. Well, let me just try one more thing before.
Let me know when you're ready. I can add you to the stage. Okay.
Yeah, let me just try one other thing here.
Mm-hmm.
And let me look at one last thing here. I do think maybe it was onto something where it should be using the 1.1 version of the API. So let me, because everything is set correctly. You can share me again.
Okay, I'm adding you to the stage. Yes, yes, your screen is live now.
Okay. Needed for using the Twitter API. Just start with this again.
That's a good part that we can ask directly to AI at what sort of
Yeah, it's awesome. So
keys they require. Yeah.
okay, can you take a look at main.py and try and diagnose why I might be getting a 403 error when using it? Now we'll go into the debugging flow. Curious how many people in the audience have tried.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on the comments.
Yeah.
Because of the mixed authentication method in the code. Okay.
Let's see. Otherwise, I may actually just start this over again. It's usually able to just kind of one-shot this first step.
Shreyas said this is the exactly same problem I faced 2 days ago.
Know that we know the fix.
And how did you fix that? That's the question.
Let's try this again. So now I have a feeling we're going to end up leaking this token. It's fine. I'll put this back on. So now it's just making a very simple script here to test things. Let's see it. Okay. Go to the Twitter access level. I think let's not use the streaming endpoint. Instead, use the search endpoint. Sure. If this doesn't work, I think I'm going to try and one-shot it again from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that's tricky about doing the this type of prompt-driven development is it's in there's non-determinism, and when I did this an hour ago. It did it perfectly, which is how this type of thing tends to go.
Yeah, I understand. Yes, yes.
You know what? While this is going, let's go ahead and do it again. I'm going to go over here, do this again. We'll call this Code with Zach Social 2. And we will see if it has better luck over here. This is one of the cooler things. And one of the strategies you can use is just try it multiple times rather than getting into a loop of trying to fix it. Sometimes it's better to just like start it over. So let's see if we have any more luck over here. Oh, we got it to work over here. Okay, cool. So now we have search instead of this, which is cool. So, and we are actually fetching stuff. So I'll let this other one keep going. I can actually look at the, well, that's not quite working, but I can check back on the status of it. But this is awesome. So I have now tweets mentioning us. So let's go ahead and let me go ahead and do this, just make sure. So this is checking for tweets every 30 seconds. So some success here. Very, very cool. Okay. By the way, if people in the audience want to tweet and tag us, it could be a fun way of testing if this thing is actually working. So these are the couple latest. Next thing I'm going to do is I am going to move on to step 2 here, which is I want to update this program so that when it sees a mention, it writes it into a channel using the Slack webhook API. So let's go ahead and do that. The webhook URL is also in, actually it's not in a file, in the environment already, and it's called this. Okay. So, and I'm also telling you, don't worry about duplicates for now. We're going to set up a database to track duplicates later. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm also curious. Sure, we'll let this go over here. I don't think we need a plan for this either, to be honest. And in case folks were wondering, we have a Slack channel in the Warp community Slack called Code with Zach X Mentions. People, again, you're welcome to kind of join along. This is where I'm going to be sending any type of like Twitter diff that comes in. I don't know if Olivia or Pratham, you could post a link to that. Okay, so let's see this. So we're bringing the JSON library. We're grabbing the Slack webhook URL from the environment, which is right. Let's keep going down here. We're going to format it nicely. We're going to get a link to it, and we're going to just try this and see what happens here. So Slack webhook URL is set. So here we go. Let's run it and see what happens. So Slack integration enabled, and found this most recent tweet. But I don't see, I'm going to look at this. Well, again, I don't really want to reveal that. I don't want people spamming our Slack channel, although I'm sure no one would. So I'm not seeing anything in it. So instead, I'll go into a debugging flow here. I'll say, I'm just going to talk to it. It's easier for me. I'm not seeing anything in the Slack channel. Can you write a standalone command that just curls a message into the Slack channel to make sure it's working? Use the again, I do think it's very helpful to, if I were like vibe coding this, I think that I'll be in no trouble. This is cool. So this is grabbing the Slack webhook URL from our secrets manager. It's making a curl request with hello world. Let's just see what happens here.
Someone asked, what are you using for voice recognition here?
I'm using Whisperflow. We have an integration with it, which is pretty cool. So
That's a good feature,
boom.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is also awesome to see. So just testing that, I can see that this is working, which is nice. So let's say the curl command, the curl request worked. Can you help me debug why I'm not seeing Twitter messages make it into Slack? It's easier to just talk. Oh, one thing here. So it lost the context, which is a real bummer. So we have not publicly launched this yet, but we do have the ability now to like go back and continue a prior conversation, which will bring all the context in. So that's something that's worth doing. Let's see. Just like read the file and understand it. Still seems to have lost the context. So this is, I think, one of the bigger challenges. Okay. Everything is set. Try it again. Oh, it's running with the wrong handle. That's why.
Yeah.
It's not the handle that I want. Hitting Control C here is not working for me for some reason. There we go. Let's do this with exactly tweets. Okay, so I'm seeing the tweets. And am I seeing anything in here? Not yet. So let's have it. Let's debug it a little bit more. Update code in main.py to print out the exact webhook and request that you're making to Slack to post the tweet. I want to see it in the console log. Okay. So one thing I will say is like it's probably faster for me to open the code and fix it. And like in a real world example, I think I would be doing that. If you kind of want to show though for this context, that you can just like keep on doing this via prompt. But I don't think that's actually the way developers are going to be doing this today. I think that like there is a mix, like a kind of mixed way of working where you do some things by prompt. So there it finds a tweet, but it's not printing out. Maybe it's not making these webhook requests. Maybe it's not making them instantly. What's the cadence of making the webhook request to Slack? So it should be making it immediately.
Yeah, 40, 60 seconds.
Still not seeing any requests. Don't do any deduping. Send a request for every tweet we see. I just want to verify the connection with it.
It's like instant drag it.
Minutes of this session. Okay, go. don't do any deduping. It's just wrong handle again. There we go.
Yeah, it worked.
Feels
Yes.
like we're spamming. There we go. Okay. So it seems like there was some issue with the deduping logic. This is cracking me up, but I would call that success of a
Yeah.
sort. Okay. Now I think this is a good time to commit my open changes here. So let's go ahead and commit them. I do a cool thing here where it's, again, in the spirit of not writing anything raw, I'm going to ask our agent here to do the commit for me, and it should understand what the changes are. Yep, it's going to do this. It's going to give me a nice commit message, and we're good. So the way I did that, by the way, so I have these like saved prompts. This is a warp feature where I can search for like different things that I want to retell our agent mode to do. And one of the most common ones I use is to make the commit with a nice message for me. Okay, so let's just take a look here. Okay, we don't need this test auth.py, but we can keep it around for a sec. So now I'm going to move on to the next thing here, which is let's actually do some deduping. So I want to create a Postgres database that tracks whatever state we need to track so that we're not, every time we pull, sending the same message again, and we're not just doing the deduping in memory. So let's go ahead and run this prompt here. Pratham, are there any questions from the audience at this point? People, anyone asking about what's going on here?
No, I think most of the people are asking how WARP is actually recognizing which prompt you need.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
now,
I'm keeping my eyes on it. Yes.
Let's see. So now it's checking to see if I have Postgres running. It's going to make, yeah, seems reasonable. A new database for me, Twitter tracking. It's going to make this new table for me. I think if I were doing this for real, I'd probably use some sort of framework around this, but I think this is fine. So it has an ID, tweet ID, posted at. Cool. How cool is this? I think it's super cool. Okay. So now we have a database running to track this. And now this is a different way of doing things. So here I'm actually creating a plan, which is going to give me a preview in a lot of detail around what we're gonna do, and then I'm gonna let this go autonomously and see how it goes. So this is another way of working. I think this is a little bit more representative of like an agentic future here. So let's see what we're gonna do. We're gonna make sure we have all the right dependencies. Let's see, this seems fine. An end variable, sure. Database connectivity. So this is probably a little bit more advanced than I need, but this does seem reasonable from an API standpoint to me. So it's going to update the logic to check whether or not the tweet was posted. It's going to record it after the Slack API success, which is what we want. It's even going to make it do failures. So I think this is cool. I think I want to do this a little bit more iteratively, which is something that I suggest to people to do. And say, let's do this change in sort of like more iteratively in smaller steps. We don't need to do the rollout or the documentation or the testing in the step. Let's just get the database rights and checks working, and then we can come back and do the later steps. So I'm going to let that finish. What I'm going to do here is this refine basically says, hey, that plan is cool, but it's a bit much. So let's go back and just do the simple thing, which is what I want. And this is how I suggest doing it. So if the more you sort of like do in one single step,
Mm-hmm.
the more likely that something goes off the rails and it becomes harder to bug. So now what I'm going to do, and this will be a lot of just like watching, is I let this just kind of run. And so until this hits some sort of error or moment of ambiguity, it's going to go ahead and try and do this change all on its own. We'll see how it does. So, and I think one of the nice things here is like I can actually follow along as it's going. It's making this dbutils.py file. We can look at it if we want. Which seems reasonable. So it's going to be pulling these connection parameters, doing all this. It's making an M file. I can review this as it's still doing stuff below, which I think is pretty cool. So this is making the DB connection.
Yeah. Scott also asked, curious how you handle code review when doing this for real.
Yeah, so I think of code review in this world as having two steps. So there's like a code review that I do for the agent, like as the agent writes code. It's the kind of thing I'm doing right now to make sure that this is like reasonable and that I understand it. What I never want to do is like actually sort of send for review or any code that I haven't like looked at or understood. I mean, I'm doing this very fast because we're on a live stream. But then I still think even in this world, you're going to have the human in the loop code review where someone else on my team, if we're doing this for real, would be looking at this code. So I think it's like you have a kind of inner loop code review, which is cool. And then you have sort of outer loop teammate code review, which is like the normal pass. So this is pretty cool. It wrote tests for me. Let's look at all this code, actually. Why not? So what's it doing? I think this is so cool. It's testing that we're able to store this. How is it mocking the database actually is an interesting question to me. Or is it actually just writing directly into the database? I'm not sure we want that for a test. Let me ask it that. For the tests you wrote, are they, I'm going to speak, right into the real database, or is there a mock in-memory database that's being used? And if not, could you change it to use a mock in-memory database? So I don't think we want to do that into the real. So again, it's helpful to know. Pitfalls, I would say the pitfalls here are sort of like pitfalls of a junior engineer. Okay, so now it's changing this, creating an in-memory SQLite database. I guess this is an okay way of doing it. Unique index. I think this is reasonable. So I'm gonna let it do this. Yeah, and I do suggest if you're using this for your real work to do it very, very iteratively and to be constantly checking the code and doing it in small bites. Because I think a big failure mode is having it write like a ton of code and then you don't know. Like it just becomes just like reviewing like a teammate's huge PR is a pain in the ass. I don't think you want to be reviewing like a giant diff from an AI. So it's still going. Taking a little while. Hopefully it's not going to crap out. So far so good, by the way, in terms of not messing up. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a bigger change, which is why I think that took a while. Okay, so now it's parameterizing my main file to figure out, to basically handle test case versus the real usage case, I guess this is okay. Again, if I were doing this for real, I might try to do some sort of dependency injection or something like that. But this is, I think, a fine thing for now. Let's just trust it for a second here, just in the interest of moving forward. Okay, it's updating the tests.
Someone said, Zach, how do you keep the AI from burning tokens? Would be good to have a session on proper prompt building. So I think you also need to run a session.
Yeah,
on
this is
prompt
something that we're
best
working on. So it this definitely can get like expensive. Again, I think like things to look out for kind of as the operator, if you want to like use this in a pretty token efficient way, it's like don't let it run off the rails on its own for too long. Like sometimes this is stuff that we're like working on improving, but you'll see this in any of these AI tools. They can get into sort of loops where they're trying to fix problems that they're creating, and that can be a pretty expensive. That's like where you really end up burning things. Like I used one of these other coding tools the other day, Claude Code, which is a cool tool. It ran for 10 minutes trying to do something and made 0 lines of code changes, and it cost me like whatever, like some actual money. So I would just like, if you don't want it to burn a lot, just supervise it closely. For Warp specifically, we're trying to make it a little bit more transparent around like what the costs are, and give users like as much control as we can. So this is cool. So now we have tests. This seems like a good point to me to actually create another commit with description. So I'm going to do that. We don't need the plan. Okay. Knows what's going on here. It's going to add the files. This is something, by the way, for me that's just like pure time savings. Like I never want to write like a huge commit. Okay, so very, very cool. So we have this now. So now I think let's integrate the new database code into the main.py server and do some deduplication using it. Also, I probably forgot that the first time I ran those tests, I did write stuff into the database. So I'm going to probably have to figure that out. So maybe while this is going, let's take a look at the Postgres database called Twitter_mentions and tell me what data is in it right now. Actually, you know what? I can just do this. So connect to this. Oops. Focus issues here. Shoot. If anyone from Warp is watching, there's a focus problem there where it's still in focus. It shouldn't. I don't think it committed these changes. Let's just do this. Just redo that. Okay. So actually,
Brandon asked, does WAP support MCP servers for existing DBs and APIs?
yes, on our preview build. It's not fully rolled out to production yet, but if you're in preview, you can look down here in Warp Drive and we have MCP server configuration where you can add it. I haven't set it up yet. But But yeah, it's a new thing we're testing. If anyone's interested in trying out our MCP, we would love feedback on it.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do this anytime. No, I don't want to create it. Oops. List out all the DBs for me. Okay. Please. Oh my God, these focus issues drive me crazy. Twitter tracking is the name of the database. Okay. So I don't think you need to, we got a lot going on here. Now I'm trying to work with 2 agents at once, and this is some of the complicated things. So the database exists, it doesn't this one. And let's go ahead and go into it. No, the table also exists. Okay. And here I am. Usage. Okay. It's still trying to create the M file. It doesn't need to do that. The mvars are in the session already. So the mvars for the API keys. So this is one of the really, really annoying things about working with AI. Probably worse in Warp, but it's true in all of the apps, is that they have like a memory problem. They like forget what they've done. And so it should know this at this point. And directly. So this is for the API keys and webhook. Directly without referencing the M file, only the database is in the file. Okay, why is this? This is like some sort of secret Twitter tracking. Okay, so, okay, this looks more correct to me, but I don't know why it's in here twice. Doesn't need to be. Those bears are already in the file. Okay, so it's thinking here. Over here, oh shit. I just quit work by accident. Oh boy. If anyone on Warp is watching, there's a bug there that I'm aware about. So anyhow, let's go ahead and continue this. I think I should be able to just actually continue it, even though we restarted, which is something we just added. So let's go back to this, and please continue with the integration. Skip the plan. I'm going to skip looking at the database. Let's just go over here. Checking the structure. Everything looks properly set up. Integration is complete. Let's go ahead and run it with Zach Lloyd tweets as the handle. One of the things I think is amazing is, like, I know this thing like doesn't work perfectly smoothly all the time, but just the idea that I can actually do this by telling the computer what to do. This was not a thing that existed at all in the world maybe 9 months ago, a year ago. It's just, it's like, it's amazing how fast we go from like, this is incredibly novel and new, to being annoyed that it doesn't work perfectly every time. Let's see. Oh. Ah! Oh, almost. And there we go. So I need to add the mvars for the social listening. We're going to have to reset that Twitter bearer token. And I am 0 for 3. And here we go. Okay, so now we are writing these, which is cool to see. I bet we're spamming this, which is fine. Okay. Now what I really do want to do is take a look at the database here. So I'm going to say, help me connect to my Postgres database. And what do you remember what I called it? It was like Twitter tracker.
Yeah, Twitter it was, yeah.
Okay, now let's go ahead and do this. Twitter tracking. Thank you.
Tracking.
Smart. See, there it's actually smarter than I am. Okay. Okay. Now I know that we have like a weird bug here, so I'm not going to repeat the bug. I'm going to go ahead and, oh my God. This, I'm going to connect directly. I'm actually going to turn off the secret stuff. It's very annoying in this context. So, okay, one of the cool things I can do here that I like to show off is like I can actually use AI within this REPL. So let's go ahead and have it, show me all tables. And then this is very simple, but I'll just do it again anyways. Like show me all the rows in posts. Okay, so we have all of these. We have our test ones, which makes sense because this is when we ran the tests, and then we have real ones, which is awesome. So now we have these deduped, or at least the ability to dedupe them. Why not? Let's clean out. Let's remove all of the entries with IDs like test tweet. Is what I wanted to do before. Okay, we got rid of those two. Okay, so it's pretty cool. Even inside a REPL, I can just do things by natural language. Okay, and then over here, I think we see this is actually working, which is pretty cool, where it's skipping the ones that were already posted. And let's see, so I love this. This is cool, whoever posted this. Could we get one more new post just to verify that this is actually picking up new things? I don't know. I think it checks every 10 seconds. So let's go ahead. Just see if we get something new here. Pratham, is anyone posting something on Twitter about us?
I don't.
That's not the most. It's not the most fun thing to just watch the server logs. So actually, how about this? While this is going, I will go ahead and show what I would do next. So let's go ahead and make another commit. This, oh shoot! We don't need this stupid plan thing. You know, this the old-fashioned way. The duping. This is what my commit messages look like without warp, by the way. Okay, and so now what I want to do is, we're not going to get through this next part, but I want to show what would be really cool, which is be like, help me Dockerize the current application in preparation for pushing it to Google Cloud Run. Cool. In that you could do things that are not just about coding here, which is hopefully being shown, but you could do all the way from the setup to the coding to the deployment. Oh, it looks like we got some new mentions. This is awesome. New post. This is working. So I would actually I find this useful. Our growth team will find this to be cool. Okay. So a lot of the other AI tools out there have sort of integrations where you can maybe push to Vercel or push to Netlify or something like that. We will maybe add that for Warp. In the meantime, though, one of the cooler things is because we are the terminal, you can do this entirely with your own infrastructure. So if you use G-Cloud or you use AWS or Azure or whatever, you can do it. So it's going to make me this Docker file with all of my packages. It's going to have to update the code to make it work within Docker. Add a health checking. This is so cool. So one of the things it's going to need to do is, yeah, it's going to have to connect to a database. So separately, I would have to set up a Cloud SQL instance for this, which I'm not going to do right now. But this will go all the way through submitting the build and actually running it. I don't know. This is super cool. So I think this is actually probably a pretty good stopping point because I don't think I actually want to do this. I think this was pretty successful today. I'm going to come back to the video here. We're going to unthing. But I think this was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do see a question here from Scott. So fun fact, Scott and I were in our same college dorm and have known each other for a long time. So you're right. A lot of the best demos have to be are around like something new from scratch. And I am like increasingly this stuff is usable though on real code bases. And sort of the bigger the code base, the harder it is to use, and the less sort of standard the code base is, the harder it is to use. But for instance, I'm like, I don't know, I'm now at Warp as we build Warp, doing this like code by prompt thing to start every new PR. The way to make it work better is to provide it with more context and to sort of localize the changes so that it doesn't necessarily need to have your entire thing in context at all times. So to provide it with more context, I suggest doing something like creating rules. You can do this in Cursor Windsurf. You can do this in Warp. It's in our Warp Drive functionality. And rules can encode things about the structure of the code base or your coding conventions or anything like that. And then the other thing I suggest is like try to do it iteratively. It's going to do much better with smaller local changes that you can test as you go rather than trying to one-shot something across a big code base, because what's going to inevitably happen is it's going to fill up the context window and start forgetting stuff, and that's going to be annoying. Warp also, I guess I see a question about the model, which is a great question. So Warp's default coding models right now and our default agent model is Sonnet, but actually we're exploring Gemini 2.5 Pro, which has a longer effective like context window. And we're trying to basically pick the thing that's going to be most effective for coding. We're also working on doing code base embedding. So you can do sort of vector search over your code base. We don't store any of your code on the server, but that also, if the AI that you're using has the right tools for finding the relevant code, that will also make it much better. Good documentation helps. I'm just seeing some of these things in the comments. So these are all great questions.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Like before, let's say before a couple of months back, it was not possible to build this kind of boards during this live stream or even like writing code from scratch. So it would have taken like, let's say, a couple of days at least. But now with these all vibe coding and things, I think anyone can build that things in
it's gotten, yeah, like I guess if I had to leave with a few parting thoughts here. So one, there's a promo code for anyone who wants to try out Warp for free for I think a month on the paid plan. A second thing is like, this stuff is improving rapidly. Like even when I did this from when I started doing this a month ago to now, Warp's implementation has gotten much better. The models are getting better. I think that it's hard for people to imagine the time frame on which this stuff is improving. And I'm very, very bullish on this is going to be the new primary way of working, which is a crazy thing because I've been a developer for, longer than I want to say. The second thing is like you can vibe code it, but I do think this doesn't displace the value of knowing what you're doing. And if anything, right now, it kind of makes it more important. And so even if you're an experienced engineer, especially if you're an experienced engineer, I think there's a lot of value in learning how to use these tools effectively, learning their shortcomings, learning where you need to step in and help it achieve the task. So those are two thoughts. Do things iteratively, review it as you go. And then I think even on existing code bases, you can actually get a ton of value out of this technology today. And within the next like few months, 6 months, let's say, it's going to be really, really awesome. So thank you everyone for coming. Appreciate you taking the time. I hope people got stuff out of this. I'm going to keep doing it. Pratham, thank you so much for co-hosting with me. I gotta get that dog out.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone. See y'all later.